And then he's like, I'm leaving you, Pamela. We had been trying to have another baby and it was just not working. Oh, I'm gonna sound bad for saying this. This is why I took most of the relationships I would be in for granted. It's because I always knew that I've got Zaddy, you know. Should the brown stuff hit the fan, I've got Zaddy. But I was starting to crack. And in me cracking, the thing is, I'm not very good at pretending. So, welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Pamela Zanele, aka Zen Pam, and I go by Zen Pam on all social media platforms. If you wish to follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Threads as well. So today we are talking about the timeline, how it all began and how it ended. But I wanted to give a little disclaimer to all those who've sent me messages of concern, to all those who've called me asking why I'm doing this, why am I giving said person such a platform. It's because this is my story to tell. This is part of my healing process, and I'm not giving anyone too much attention. It's not like the old Pam, because it's mostly people that know me from back then, that I used to be this, you know, I break up with someone within the week, I'll be straight, I'll be sorted. I had a roster, I had a queue. But this is different. It's a marriage. It's someone that I share a child with. They played a major role in my life. The reason why I'm sitting here is because I met this person. And as I mentioned in my previous video, if you haven't watched it, I recommend that you go back and watch it, just for more context. But I would just like to remind everyone, whether you're a friend or family, if you do not agree with what I'm doing, respectfully and sincerely, you don't have to watch this, and you don't have to be here. I'm here for those who relate. I'm here for those who need that person, who need to hear it from another person that it does get better. There's another side to, leaving. And if you don't agree with what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, please, by all means, you're free to go, and I won't hold it against you if you don't. But for those who choose to stay, thank you very much for taking part in my journey. It's not an easy thing to do. It's been a constant back and forth between myself and me and I, also with different people, because even after dropping the first video, I was not sure how it was going to be received. But the comments, so heartwarming. I never expected so much love and support from people, because I've also been isolating myself, which is also like a trauma response. I actually found something that I think I will post here for reference, and it spoke to me a lot. So with that being said, we're gonna get started. I suggest that you grab a little drink, you get comfortable. I drop these videos on Fridays because I know it's after work vibes. You just wanna kick back and relax and, chill. I know this is not the ideal thing to be watching, but I'm gonna try to make it more interesting. And as you can hear, my voice is much better than the last time, because some girls of mine were like, no, but you sound so sad, no, this is not you, and I understand. It was not easy. It was my first video in a long time. So I was, it was also hard for me to speak on it and trying not to cry because it was my first time like publicly saying that, hey, it's done. I'm not married anymore. So yeah, without further ado, let's take it back to 2012. So I'm going to try to keep these timelines short. The years that are not relevant, I'm not going to mention them because it's like, you know. But in 2012, I was doing my internship because at the time I was still studying civil engineering. So I was with a girl of mine. We were in Sandton doing some shopping. We were at the DFC campus, University of Johannesburg. And we wanted to take the How train back to the light. I need to. Okay. We needed to take the train back to the CBD because that's where the campus was. And it started raining. So now we at Mandela Square and the famous Café de la Salute. At the time, I didn't know that it was a pickup spot. My husband, I've confirmed a lot of times, he was also not aware. He was fresh out of Switzerland at the time, fresh, just landed, doing business in Johannesburg, but he lived in Cape Town. And I was there, so my friend and I decided to have drinks there while we wait for the rain to stop because we were not geared up for the rain. And we chilled there, and everyone, I guess, had the same idea to go there and have a drink and wait for the rain to stop. So in walks this guy, regular guy, didn't look at him twice or anything. It was normal to see white people around, you know. And with that, oh, okay, I'm gonna need to calm down. I had a drinky drink, so like I needed to do this with something in my system. So in walks this man, and he comes to our table because we had picked a big-ish table and it was just the two of us. So he's like, oh, can I sit here while I wait for a friend of mine? So we're like, okay, cool. And we go on and have our little conversation. You know, we pay no mind to him until he started to look quite panicked and sometimes as though he was eavesdropping in our conversation, which I didn't really appreciate. And then I asked him, I was like, where's your friend? Like, you've been sitting here for a while now. Like, where's your friend? He's like, I have no idea. And they're not picking up. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Where are you from? Like, because his accent was not the usual accent that you would hear, like from the Joburg Brews or the Afrikaners. You know, it was a different accent. So I was like, where are you from? He's like, no, I live in Cape Town. But I'm from Switzerland. So I was like, okay, cool. At the time, I had zero interest in Switzerland. To me, it was just like the one of those countries they mention in the movies. I was 21 at the time, so judge me if you want, but it's okay. And that was it. We started having a conversation. He asked us what we're doing at the time and then what our dreams and aspirations are. You know how it goes. And then when it was time for us to leave, the rain had stopped and then we wanted to leave so we could catch the train. But now it was a bit too late. So we were like, oh no, we need to catch the how train. He's like, yeah, that ain't happening. But I can get you guys a cab. And with that, he gave me his, his business card. He's like, yeah, if you want to discuss more things like, you know, about Cape Town and all of that, here's my card. I was like, oh, okay, fine. So we walked to the other side by the, what is it called? Is it the Michelangelo? That other side from there's the butcher, that little hallway thing, and then I think it's by the Michelangelo where you can catch cabs. And he got us a cab. And he's like, yeah, just text me when you get home. Typical, usual tactic from any guy trying to get your number, right? Okay, fine. So got home and then texted him, hey, we're home safe. Thank you for getting us the cab. Da 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 da. And that was it. And then we started chatting. 2 weeks down the line, I was on my flight to Cape Town. And that's where it began. So that was 2012 and the rest of 2012. Towards the end, went to spend Christmas and New Year's by him. And I used to, sometimes I would stay for extended periods of time, especially in December when the schools were closed. His son came to visit from Switzerland and he was cool. We got along. Everything was perfect. Everything was fine. So with that being said, now you know that he had a son. It's because he was previously married. And the reason why I'm taking this little break to speak about that is because what happens next, even right now, explains the behavior, right? Some people may not be happy about what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna risk it. Screw it. He was married before, and they had a son together. And apparently, what he says is that there was unfaithfulness involved, and that led to them going their separate ways. But, there was a son now involved. And other than a son, there's also trauma. Other than the son, there's also trauma on his side. Deeply traumatized, very insecure, which is something that he would admit to as well. But unfortunately for him, he also likes beautiful women, because the woman that he was married to before, smoke show, the Cape Malay, because she was also South African, the Cape Malay Indian, somewhere there in between. Smoke show. She is a smoke show. Like, even till this day, she is hot. Okay. And then you come for another beautiful woman, which is me. if you were wondering, but you come for another beautiful woman, and even his history, like in between, he was only going for beautiful women. But you have these insecurities, and it's like, you cannot go for a beautiful woman and expect them to dim their light for you. But that's what he expected. So I just needed to give that context for when we go forward, when we move forward. So that happens, and then 2013, I couldn't because of that. It was too much insecurities. Every time before we went somewhere, I was like, yeah, there's gonna be all these rich men there, there's gonna be all these good looking guys, there's gonna be all these younger guys, because between me and him is a 25-year gap. Yes. And he always had, insecurities about it. And at the time, well, 2013, now I'm 22, right? I'm not ready to nurse someone's emotions. So I would leave. Like, when I felt like he was too much, I'd be like, dude, no, you're dealing with a lot. I think first deal with your heartbreak, and then maybe you can call me. But right now I feel like you're dealing with too much. And that's genuinely how I felt. So 2013, nothing much happened. I was enjoying my youth, so I didn't have time to be tied down and be nursing emotions and all of that crap. 2014, not much happened, but we reconnected on more friendlier terms. And then the same with 2015, because I think in 2015, I don't know, I think in 2015 I was in a relationship, but we would see each other from time to time. And he always kept it respectful. Like, and that was the thing between me and him. When I was in a relationship and he would call, I'd say, yeah, no, I'd like to see you, but just so you know, I'm in a relationship. And then he knew that, okay, I shouldn't try to make any advances or anything like that. And so we always maintained a good friendship. This is also important for, a much later thing that I'm going to mention. And so we tried to maintain a friendship. Sometimes I would be the single one reaching out, be like, hey, I'm in Cape Town. Maybe, like I'd be there with friends or, whatever. I'd call him up and say, hey, I'm in Cape Town. What are you doing? Like to see you. And then he'd be like, yeah, like to see you too. Would have a lunch and whatever. And then he'd say, I'm in a relationship. Happy for you. Still, more smoke shows. I remember the other woman that he got into a relationship with, a quite serious one for that matter. She was a model. She was a model. Hot. Okay. And fine with that, we maintained the friendship until I would say 2017. I was going through a situationship. So what he used to do every year is that he would invite me down to Cape Town, fly me down to Cape Town for my birthdays, and then I would go see him depending on what situation I was in. Sometimes obviously I would respectfully and sincerely decline, but if nothing serious was going on relationship wise, I would go. And 2017, I remember I was in a situationship. I went, and that is the year that he was going through a breakup with that model that he was in a serious relationship with. He was going through a breakup, and I went there really as a friend, to comfort him and everything. And he was going through a lot because even his business, as most of you may know, in South Africa, sometimes when you're dealing with government institutions, they will screw you over, so he was also dealing with that. And then later that year in 2017 now, he started talking about moving back to Switzerland. And he started asking me if I want to come with. I was like, hell no. Like, I've got my own thing going on here. I've got my life going on. Why would I want to go to Switzerland with some old dude? And it's Switzerland. For me, like, Switzerland was just, how I saw it. Okay, obviously now I have a more informed idea of what Switzerland is, but it still didn't appeal to me. Yes, definitely a bucket list country, a place I want to visit, but to go live there, it was just like, hell nah, I'm having fun here. And I think most South Africans can relate with this. Like, up until maybe recently, when with unemployment and those types of things started happening, and crime, we were fine. And most South Africans, I know for sure, they can attest to this. Please write this in the comment section, because I often experience those problems when I'm here, and people think I had to fight to be here. Like, yeah, no, I can't go back home because it's destitute and all of that. It's like, no, dude, I was perfectly fine where I was. I literally just came here for love, And it's very important to mention this, because a lot of people, many people think that South Africa is some village. They hear Africa and then they think, oh, lions and cheetahs and all of that. Honey, South Africa is fine. It's fire. And that's why you have a lot of Europeans still living there. It's South Africa is beautiful. It has so much to offer, like everything top tier, even when it comes to healthcare. This is something that I want to talk about. There's a friend of mine that I actually want to invite and have this conversation with, because I feel like when you are still in South Africa and you dealing with whatever you have to deal with while you're there, you think that things are better this side. And I'm here to tell you that not necessarily. Okay, there's certain things that South Africa beats Europe by a landslide. But that's a topic for another day. So I was okay with being in South Africa. I was working, I was doing great socially, friends, everything. Men, I didn't care much about men. I didn't care much about getting married. Actually, I didn't care for marriage. I remember back in 2017, my mindset was more around, I want to create a mini me. I want a younger version. I want to see what can come out of me. That was my mentality, but I didn't care much for marriage. And so in 2017, when he was like, yeah, no, come to Switzerland, I was like, no, it's fine, but all the best. 2018 came, we were still chatting, he was giving me updates about Switzerland. And then what happened in 2018? 2018, he came again, flew me down to Cape Town for my birthday. Not much happened, and then he flew back to, I don't know, he was traveling, like he traveled a lot at the time. He would usually come to South Africa during the winter here in Switzerland. So 2018, not much happened, but I got into a pretty serious relationship, and this is where it gets interesting, right? I got into a pretty serious relationship that almost led to people sending uncles to my house. Crazy story. And the guy did something stupid. And I'm gonna explain something, right? With me, I was never really tolerant of what certain people are tolerant of. Things like a guy flirting with other girls, I didn't tolerate that. These gender roles that a woman should do this. Like, if I wanted to cook, I would cook because I want to, not because I have to. And in that relationship, there was a lot of, traditional standards and expectations, young as the guy was, but I feel like he had these expectations of me and he thought he could change me. And okay, for a while, you kind of tolerated until he starts mentioning marriage, and you're like, I'm gonna have to be in this forever. You know, sometimes when I'd be driving his car, like where he lived, when I'd be driving around in his car, and then you'd see some girls like making, fixing themselves because they think it's him, and I'd be like, here, there's a problem, because now I'm gonna be going around house to house beating girls up, and I don't have the energy for that. So I cut it. I told him that I'm not trying to get married, especially to him, because another thing was that he was always busy as well, his line of work. Money, everything was fine. He had a lot of it. It was not an issue, but money has never been a thing for me to decide on whether I'm going to be with someone or not. And that is something that we need to note, because there is this idea I don't know if it's something that I gave off, but I need to clear something up. My husband is not rich. He is just white. He's just European who lives in Europe, in a country like Switzerland where there's buying power. He's not rich. He's an average middle class guy like most people in Switzerland. It's just that, yes, it's Switzerland and they earn much more than people in Germany or Italy or France would earn, but he's not rich. And I didn't stick with him or choose him because he's rich. I didn't choose him because I wanted to get out of the country. I chose him purely because he felt safe. I've never had to question his loyalty or faithfulness to me whenever we were together. I always felt safe. I always felt secure because, yes, although it's not about money, but you need some level of security. And maybe also because I saw a friend in him as well. Like we got along very well. And another layer to that is that there were no gender roles or anything. Like I could literally just give him my dress and say, "Hey, please iron this for me," and he would do it gladly, like without looking at me funny. Like, what did you just say? You know, he cooks. He did all the cooking, and up until the day he left, he was doing all the cooking. I would cook sometimes when I felt like it. Um, and so there was no tussle. He fit my personality quite well, and that is why, if you look at my resume, I've mostly dated. I've mostly dated Europeans, Italian, Canadian. I could never be with a South African white person. For me, it just that's where I draw the line, But I've mostly been with European, the fairer side of the spectrum. And another reason for that is because at the time, I was not appealing to our African brothers. I was not the standard. You know, I was not the spec because dark skin, flat ass, I'm not the spec. And that's okay. And compared to the average South African man, I'm pretty tall. So that's why I would always end up with the European, you know? And that's just it. And with that being said, 2019 came, the huge. I went down to Cape Town for my birthday, and we had the talk. Like, dude, come on, it's me and you. Like, why are you still spinning around in circles and you're like and going back and forth doing all these things? These people, like, not in that sense, but they're just wasting your time, which was true. Apart from the guy that really had the true intention to marry me, everyone else was just wasting my time. And it was time to get real with myself. And at that time, in that moment, it really did feel like, you know what, maybe this is the person for me. And I still believe that for that time, for that moment, and for the period that we were together, he was the person for me. Because there's so many things that he opened my eyes to, also about myself. There's actually something that I saw about being with the wrong person. It not necessarily meaning that they were the wrong person. You had to be with them in order to open your eyes and appreciate, learn to appreciate what is to come. And I truly believe that. Because honestly speaking, prior to me, I mean, it was a shock to a lot of people. Even my friends were like, "What, you getting married?" Because it was never in my radar. Like, I was just living life, you know. And with that, obviously, the whole move thing came. Uh, I will link the video here of why I moved to Switzerland. So that happened. We got married, and yeah, as with any other couple, there were ups and downs, but 100% the red flags were there, because every time I would try to start something, there was always this resistance from him. Like, he would go full on supportive and everything, motivate me, and then out of nowhere it would be issues, and it really drained me sometimes. But when we had good times, we had good times. It's not like I was always putting my camera in his face or whatever, and it's not like I was always giving him my phone to take pictures or anything like that. It was just so weird because I even asked some people around me, some people that have been following me for a while, like, do you feel like I do too much on social media? And they were like, nah, you don't. You're actually like quite chilled. And I tried to tell him that. And then there was also obviously the issue of, yeah, you're trying to get the attention of men on social media, which was never the case, because I even showed him my stats. Like, look, 85% of my followers, of the people that interact with my stuff, are women. Like, what do you mean? So those are some of the things that were really just causing unnecessary drama. But the straw that broke the camel's back. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea here. This was a buildup of a lot of things, which I'm not sure if I should get into them, because they're quite sensitive. It's quite sensitive matters. But what I can say is that in 2024, from, I would say, August towards December, it was a downward slope. Because you begin, when you have disagreements with your significant other, you sit down and then you try to reason with them, which is what we always did. Like, hey, I don't like this. Why is this like this? Or it would be an argument, and then we would try to sit down and resolve it. But this time it was different. It started to feel like we are arguing over the same thing, and I'm reassuring I have to be the one that makes the changes. They think they are perfect. They are with no fault. And it started to feel like I'm the problem. And this is where the word gaslighting comes in. Because I know, there's a lot of people now saying, yeah, no, like all these buzzwords and all of that, as if it's bad to have this realization that you are with a narcissist, to have this realization that you were being gaslit. So now we can't use the words, because it's going to be like, you're just following a trend. And I hate this so much, because people can't express themselves. So what is the point of raising the awareness that there's narcissists, that there's gaslighting, that there's manipulation? What is the point of raising awareness, for making it known out there, putting a name to it, if people are going to turn around, especially women? It's mostly women. It's so scary when people are going to turn around and say, yeah, you're just using all these trending buzzwords, narcissist, gaslighting, and all of that. And it's like, okay, so what was the point? The reason why these things were even raised was because we felt them, but we didn't know the name of it. We didn't know what they're called. So why are you chastising people who who can finally speak up, who are trying to help others, further raise more awareness about toxic relationships, narcissism, gaslighting, manipulation. If you're going to turn around and say, yeah, you're just using buzzwords, you just want to use these trending things, you want to be like everyone else. Like, I just, you know what? But anyway, it started to feel like we're going around in circles and that I'm the problem. So I just started to feel like if I'm the problem, then I should excuse myself. But as with everyone, you consider everything. You consider everything that you've built, that, okay, maybe let me just give this one more shot. You consider the fact that there's a child. This child absolutely adores her father. Like he's a great dad. Like, she absolutely loves him, and I see why. Hands on, I will not fault him there, you know. But he was a shitty husband. And, you know, even in him being shitty, I still could tolerate him, a shitty husband, because he was a great friend as well. Like, we had like this thing, we were so like working in harmony, but I was starting to crack. And in me cracking, the thing is, I'm not very good at pretending. So when my friend came in December, we had a lovely time. She came with her daughter, and she was like, and she's met him before, like in the early days, she's been around him. She was like, yeah, no, like he's a lot different to what I knew back in South Africa. And I was like, yeah, he is. And we started talking back and forth here and there. And I mentioned to her that I intend on leaving. And then I think he overheard some of the things, because we were trying to speak in Tsonga, you know. But I think he overheard some of the things. I mean, like, he's lived in South Africa for quite a while. There's certain things that he can piece together. And then my friend left on the 2nd of January 2025. It was still all fine, all good. Drove to the airport, driving back home and everything. And we're chilling in the kitchen. And then he's like, yeah, so everyone is gone. Everything is done. You know, it's after the Christmas season and everything. Everyone is gone. Everything is done. And soon I'll be going. And I'm like, oh, where are you going? And then he's like, I'm leaving you, Pamela. And at the back of my mind, you know, like that ego, like my ego was crushed, okay? Because it's like, damn, he beat me to it. I didn't want to do it yet, because I wanted to, like, I had written in my little journal that I need to start planning my exit. But with him, he's always been that person that would just go, yeah, it's done, it's over, and whatever. And I was always the one saying, hey, do you wanna talk? Do you wanna calm down? Do you wanna take some time, you know, some time out and calm yourself down so we can talk? Like, what's the deal? But this time around, that's not what happened. And that is what made matters even worse. Because my response was, okay. And that is what crushed him, because he was not expecting that response. But because in that moment, I have made up in my mind, I have written it down. And that's the thing with me. Once I write something down, it's sealed, because I write it. I'm making a contract with the universe. I'm making a contract with God. I was writing my resolutions that I need to start planning my exit. The only difference is that he beat me to it. And the reason why that happened is because I remember there was a time where I said, I need to start planning my exit, and I never started planning my exit. And God was like, enough is enough. And on top of that, what really sealed it for me, it's a bit of a, sad moment, but at the same time, it's like a relief, because mid 2024, beginning of 2024, part of my weight gain was because we had been trying to have another baby and it was just not working. I miscarried twice, and we were just kept trying and trying and trying, and it would not happen. Went for checks. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with him. Whereas with Zola, it was so instant. It was like, oh, we're making a baby. Okay, boom, baby was here. So that was also confirmation for me that, okay, yeah, this is it. This is not happening. God has pretty much had enough with your nonsense, because if you add another baby to this, you're adding another 2 years, and we ain't waiting for you no more. And that's how it ended. January 2025, that is when the marriage ended. And what happened after, complete chaos, because apart from the emotional abuse, emotional blackmail, now it started to become very verbal, where I had to start recording, making voice recordings, because like I needed to keep reminding myself that, okay, this is the same person, that I still want to work things out. It was just a lot. And that's why I retreated and needed to deal with things by myself, and lawyers and psychiatrists and therapists and people closest to me, because it was a lot. It was a lot. Like, even right now, because we are kind of in good terms, like we have to be, because we're co-parenting. We're kind of in good terms. Sometimes it gets, like, hey, because remember, there's still that friendship element. So there's certain things that maybe he says, and then we start laughing, and then it's banter, and it's but I have to keep replaying those things to myself, those voice messages, those voice recordings, to remind myself that you are not going back to that, because this is the same person who spoke to you in the worst way possible. I'm not going to share it because I don't want to dwell on it. At some point, hold on. At some point, I'm going to delete those voice messages. Just right now, I have to keep them as evidence for any legal proceedings that need to happen. But that is where we are. We are very cordial. We are in speaking terms. I wouldn't say we are friendly, but we are in speaking terms. We are in good terms for the sake of the child. One thing about a manipulator is that he's never going to stop manipulating. He's never going to stop trying to, number one, make himself look good. Number two, make you look crazy. That is why you need to keep records. Okay? And number three, because now things started to go public. Remember, there were threats, like all sorts of threats. So obviously I have to start speaking to people. I have to start, talking to even friends that we shared about what he's doing. There have been moments where he would be like, yeah, no, let's just try to work things out. Don't fall for that shit. You're just going back to the same loop, to the same cycle. Don't fall for it. He's just trying to save himself And once he has saved himself and made you look crazy and made everyone believe that you're the crazy one and he isn't, you're going back to the same ditch. You know yourself and you know what you're going through. You're not crazy, okay? You're not crazy. Your feelings are valid. Whatever it is that you're going through, it's true. He might try to tell you that that's not the case or whatever it is, but listen to your feelings. Listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. Listen to your body. If your body tenses up around him, he is not safe. If you start feeling some type of way around him, he is not safe. And it's okay to walk away. It's better to lose everything, the lifestyle, the vacations, the good times, the ease. It's better to lose that than to lose your life. Because you might say, because he's not physically abusive and all of that. Oh, yes, he is. Because if he's fucking with your mind, if he's fucking with your emotions, it's going to start manifesting in your body. And I'll tell you why. I will make an entire video of how I got sick. I had inflammation. I didn't just gain weight out of nowhere. It was a ripple effect. It was like layers upon layers of everything that was happening to me. I've never had weight issues. I've never had gut issues. But in the last 6 months of 2024, I managed to gain 10 kilograms of weight. And when I did tests, my body was full of cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. High levels of cortisol equal high levels of stress. And that shit can kill you. So there's no more saying he was not physically abusive. He is. And I'm going to end this video here before I start getting too deep. More of these are coming. Like, share, subscribe. We all have a friend that could use a wake-up call. We all have a sister, a colleague. Please share this with them. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Good night. And I love you. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for your beautiful messages of support. They keep me going. I'm not where I need to be right now, but we're getting there. Okay. I love you so much and see you in the next video. Bye.